our summer Italian vacation. And I tell you, we have been traipsing over this country for 2 full weeks now, 3 full weeks now. I am tired. I just want to go to a nice little out of the way cinema, watch an Italian flick, maybe 8.5 by Fellini. I certainly don't want to be trapped inside with bloodthirsty demons. Unfortunately, that's what we're talking about this week with 1985's Demoni, also known as Demon. This is a film by Lamberto Bava, the son of Mario Bava. It is produced and definitely styled by one Dario Argento, as if we haven't talked about him enough already. This is the first in a line of films. So you have Demons, you have Demons 2, although in some countries Demons 2 was released first as Demons and Demons 1 was released as Demons 2. And then we talked about the movie The Church, which was originally supposed to be Demons 3, but Michael Suave didn't want it to be a Demons movie, so there's another Demons 3, although some people call that Demons 3. And then Demons 4, I think, is another famous movie. And there's like 5 or 6 of them, and then they got to the point where pretty much any horror movie, they just kind of called it Demons. It's like the zombie franchise. Or the Italian Jaws movies. But we are talking about the OG 1985 Demons. Now, I'm going to tell you right now off the bat, of this entire month's spread of Italian goodies, this may be the most fun. Because this movie is essentially Evil Dead in the movie theater. Where we have a couple of young girls are given free tickets by a terrifying Italian Terminator with unknown intentions and an unknown role in the movie because Italian. But he's actually played by actor and director Michael Suave, who we talked about with The Church, and we'll talk about next week as well. They are sent to go see this movie, along with a lot of others. The most strange, eclectic group of moviegoers you'll ever see, because we have a 1970s pimp and 2 of his employees are there, as well as a blind man who has a young woman describing the movie to him. That is until she leaves him to go hook up with another guy. And then there's a random old guy who's always yelling at his wife to shut up. It's a wild, and then 2 young, preppy looking guys. It's a wild group of moviegoers. We're going to see this super secret movie. And essentially the movie they're watching is kind of Evil Dead. We find a book that Nostradamus wrote, and it unlocks demons with this mask. A mask that just so happens to be the focal point of pretty much everything in the movie. It's this beautiful. Well, here, we were gonna get into goodies later, but we'll go ahead. I'll just to give you some heads up of why this mask is very memorable. Here's a poster for that mask. It is on display in the lobby of this theater. Where all the staff members are dressed like Zoe Deschanel and Elf. That's weird. But there's also a motorcycle and a samurai outfit, including sword. Keep that in your back pocket. So as the movie's going, one of our pimp's employees, played by Goretta, who has been in several Italian horror movies. She was in Rat and several other zombie movies. If you've ever watched the In Search of Darkness documentaries, she is all throughout those, and she is timeless in aging. She is as stunningly gorgeous now as she was back then. And she unfortunately tries to play with the mask and cuts her face, and she is our first demon. And again, it's essentially Evil Dead in the mall. Not a mall. That would be something. It's Evil Dead at a movie theater, where one by one our moviegoers are turned into these disgusting demons. And this movie has everything you want, and not only an Evil Dead movie, but in the Italian Evil Dead movie, because there's just pulsing and goo and just we're popping eyes and everything you can imagine in the goriest of Italian horror movies happens in this movie, and it's a blast. Probably because this movie has the wildest soundtrack to a horror movie, especially for the 80s. I'm talking there Rick Springfield, Motley Crue, the Scorpions, and Billy Idol all play in this movie. Not to mention this amazing Italian score done by Goblin. It's just an absolute blast. I don't want to get into too many specifics because you should totally check out this movie. But there is a scene where that motorcycle and samurai sword come into play in a movie theater, and it's everything you could have ever wanted and more. There's a helicopter crash, which, how does that happen? I don't know. It's an Italian movie. Terminator shows up. This movie is absolutely wild, and it's an absolute blast. You will not have more fun. And honestly, this is kind of I don't want to say like an accurate gateway movie into Italian horror movies, because they're not all like this. But if you want to get somebody who's on the fence, maybe kind of like, hey, here's one that's super fun, kind of like super accessible if you're into like stuff like The Evil Dead and maybe like the early Peter Jackson stuff, then totally Demons is the place to start. Not to mention that, speaking of Evil Dead, Demons 2 is essentially the Italian version of Evil Dead Rise, because it's the demons again, only this time it's in an apartment complex. Which is a movie we'll maybe talk about maybe next time we're on this side of the world. But as far as spoilers for the movie, I don't want to give any because this movie is an absolute blast. But I'm telling you, there's lots of everything you could have ever want in a gory, splattery, fun, Evil Dead-ish demon movie. Not to mention, it makes no sense and is absolutely, do not follow the movie for the plot because you can't. Just sit back and enjoy the ride. Now, speaking of sitting back and enjoying the ride, it's time for their souvenirs segment, and I want to tell you about these two movies. Demons 1 and Demons 2 were put out on absolute beautiful 4K by Synapse Films. And they went full bore with this release. There's also a couple releases from Arrow, but this one puts them both together. You get the poster. For this movie, you get the golden ticket for the movie theater to get into the secret showing of the movie. It's an absolutely stunning piece of physical media. And actually, you get all the crisp 4K ooey gooeys you want, and it's an absolute blast. So I highly recommend checking out Demons and Demons 2. After that, I don't, you got me, but for sure, Demons is the one I think you guys should absolutely check out because you will absolutely have so much fun with it. Now, sadly, next week, August is ending, and so is our time here on the beautiful peninsula known as Italiano. It's not known as that. I apologize. But our time has come to an end, and so we've got one more thing to check out on our way back to the States. And it's a movie that I have often heard of and had not seen till recently. And boy, are we in for a treat. Because next week we are going to be talking about Della Morte dell'Amore, aka Cemetery Man. So until then, If you want to beat the heat, go to the movie theaters. But if you see like creepy monster masks, I'll tell you what my grandmother always told me. Another thumbs up. What my grandmother always told me when we would go to the store and I wanted to go look at toys. You look with your eyes and not with your hands. So keep your hands to yourself, and maybe you won't get demon possessed. Until then, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.